Hey guys, on today's episode we're going to take a look at the Audi R8 and figure out which model and year is the best bang for your buck. The R8 was released in 2008 as a V8 coupe, but since then has had numerous models including the V8, the V10, the hardtop, the soft top, and more special editions than you can count. We're going to limit this buyer's guide to the V8, the V10, and the V10 Plus. We're going to look at the coupes, the convertibles, as well as manual and automatic transmission cars. Before we get started, I want to say that collecting data on this car was very difficult. The numbers on Kelley Blue Book and NADA guides were all over the place. The same goes for the selling price on all the major car websites. It wasn't uncommon to see very similar cars of the same year going for a wide variety of different prices. The R8 isn't exactly a rare car, but the used market values sure do act like it. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's start with the V8 models. The darker colors on top represent the original MSRPs when the cars were new. The lighter colors on the bottom are what the cars are currently being sold for today. We see two overall trends when we look at the V8 charts. First, manuals are worth more than automatics, and automatics weren't a cheap option on this car at $8,000. As more and more manufacturers ditch the manual transmission altogether, we're seeing those cars hold their value just a little bit better than the automatics. The second thing we notice, for the most part, spyders are selling for higher prices than the coupes, but that's no surprise since they were about $15,000 more from the factory when they were new. However, if you look back to the first years of the Spider production, you'll see that the coupe is actually selling for around the same price. With 2011 models, for instance, the Spider has lost about 30 to 35% of its original value, while the coupe has only lost about 25%, which puts them both in about the $90,000 range. We'd expect to see a large drop in price before the 2014 refresh, but it's not as severe as with most cars. This is a testament to how well built and how desirable the original R8 was right out of the box. Now let's take a look at the V10 models. The prices on these behave completely different than the V8s. Since the V10s were more of a limited production car, there's not as much data out there, and the values for the cars that are for sale are all over the board. You even see the V10 cars going for more than the premium V10 Plus cars. For whatever reason, the V10 Plus doesn't seem to hold its value in this market. In all honesty, it's kind of a crapshoot. There's so much inconsistency out there that analyzing the data is near impossible. But let's give it a try anyway. If you don't care if a car has 20 or 30,000 miles on it, there are a lot of V10 R8s out there in whatever transmission you want in about the $90,000 range. Now be careful if you're shopping for one of those. I saw a lot of ads claiming V10 cars going for about $70,000. When you look into them, those are actually V8 models. Happened a lot more than you would think. Overall, the V8 and the V10 are holding their value quite well compared to some of their competitors. The depreciation of early V8s seems to have slowed down, and you can find some really great models in the low 70s, high $60,000 range. That's about 35 to 40% off the original MSRP. Now 35% depreciation in 8 years really isn't that bad. For comparison, a 911 is going to lose that same amount in about 3 or 4 years. Now the V10s are their own animals. If you want one of the refresh cars from 2014 or 2015, you're going to be spending about $110,000 to $130,000. If you want to save some money though, you can get one of the original V10s with decent options and low miles for well under $100,000. Now if you can afford it, I'd go straight for one of the V10 Plus models. They were originally about $20,000 more than the standard V10, but they've not retained any of that value. They were also only made after the mid-cycle refresh, so they're going to be the most up-to-date version of that generation that you can get. Now lastly, if you're interested in the brand new 2017 model, there's quite a few of them on the used market, but the prices are all over the place. I've seen them for $160,000 up to $210,000. If I wanted one of those, I think I'd wait a year or two until those prices drop down a little bit. So that's the depreciation of the Audi R8. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button below and let us know what you think of the video. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so give us a thumbs up or leave a comment below. And until next time, thanks guys.